For our Torah thought this week, I thought I would tackle one of the great problems that trouble many of us, and that is the bad hair day. I personally have never known a bad hair day, but I've heard of it. And a bad hair day, I would define it as follows. A person gets up in the morning, ready to challenge another day, excited for the day, and some reason, somehow, some why, the hair is not falling the way the person wants, and it ruins the day. Or it could be a person got up in the morning excited for a brand new day, they look outside, the snow has begun to fall. It's not that first fresh snowfall, it's the slushy, icky snowfall, and it ruins the day. How do we overcome when external circumstances are challenging what we really want to accomplish in a day? The Medrash tells us that Rabbi Akiva was giving a lecture, and he noticed that a lot of his students were sleeping. This is the famous Rabbi Akiva, noted lecturer. He sees his students sleeping and he wanted to wake them up. So he told them a riddle. And he said, why was it that Queen Esther merited to rule over 127 countries? And he told them the reason was because her great-great-great-great-grandmother Sarah lived for 127 years. And since she lived for 127 years, Queen Esther merited to rule over 127 countries. And this story really begs two questions. First of all, as Jackie, a longtime teacher, can probably tell us, typically if you're going to try and wake up your students, you're not going to tell them a riddle like that. You might, if you were from 20 years ago, maybe you threw some water on the student. Nowadays we have to take much less intrusive methods. But what message was he trying to give them? Why was that going to be the wake-up call? And second of all, we have to know, what's this 127 and 127? Is it a numbers game? Because Sarah lived for 127 years, so therefore Queen Esther ruled for over 127 lands. What does that mean? So in order to understand this, we have to really understand a very important point about Sarah's life. This week's Torah portion, the first verse says, Sarah's lifetime was 100 years, 20 years and 7 years, the years of Sarah's life. And it really begs the question, it seems that the Torah is investing extra words into this verse. It repeats itself at the end. It says the years of Sarah's life were 127 years, and then it repeats the years of Sarah's life. So Rashi comments, he tells us that the Torah was teaching us something very important. The reason why the Torah invested these extra words was because it wanted us to know that every single day of Sarah's life, Kulan Shavin L'Taiva, every single day was good. She never had a bad day. That's why the Torah put in these extra words to teach this to us. And the obvious question is, really? She lived for 127 years and she never had a bad day? Not once did she wake up in the morning and the sun wasn't shining and she wasn't able to get done what she wanted to get done? How could that be? And especially if we know a little bit about her life. She didn't have children for many years. She was taken by force into the palace of Abimelech. She had a child, Yitzchak, who she wanted to get away from Yishmael. It seemed like she had some hard days. The answer is that Sarah knew a secret, and that secret was that if a person wants to do something, if she wants to accomplish something, so nothing can get in your way. A person, as opposed to being dictated by the circumstances around them, a person could actually control their circumstances. And Sarah actually had 127 years, every day was good. So you might say that instead of Sarah living for 127 years, she really ruled for 127 years. She ruled over herself, she ruled over her circumstances. As the Torah invested those extra words, they taught us that every single day was good. So now we can understand what the 127 was. It wasn't just a numbers game. Because Sarah ruled over her life for 127 years, she didn't let the circumstances dictate whether she was going to have a good day or not. So because of that, Queen Esther, her great-great-great-great-granddaughter, merited to rule over 127 countries. So what was Rabbi Akiva? What was the message that he was trying to tell his students? The answer is, those students weren't there by force. They were there because they wanted to learn. So why weren't they learning? Why were they sleeping? we would assume that Rabbi Akiva, the famous Rabbi Akiva, was a good lecturer. He was interesting. It wasn't boring. The answer probably is that they probably went to sleep late the night before. Maybe they were up learning late. And they came to learn that day, and they were tired. And they said to themselves, well, if I'm tired, there's nothing I can do. I want to learn, but I'm tired. And he wanted to explain to them, no, you're making a big mistake. Because we can learn from Sarah that if a person wants something, the circumstances could be against them. But you can dictate what you are going to do. You can rule over your tiredness. You can rule over your bad hair day. You can rule over anything that could stand in your way. And I think the lesson for us is, it's not all or nothing. We might not be merit to get to the Kulan Shavla Tova that every single day should be good. But each and every time that one of us has something standing in our way, it could be on a Tuesday night, we really want to come learn. And we all know there's many circumstances that could get in our way. Or it could be that we want to be kind to somebody, but we're not in the greatest of moods. Something's affecting our mood. If we take the opportunity in that moment to rule over ourselves, so then we have to know that we are putting something in place for ourselves, but also for our children, that we have accomplished something that will last forever. Thank you so much.